Today is a very exciting day. Today is Danny Kim is back day. It's a celebration across the world for celebrating the best student in this class is back. So everybody, let's raise your glass to Danny Kim. We have 9 questions here this morning. Press pause, try them. Once you're done, you can see if your answers are correct. Our first question says, what is the square root of 1 and 7 ninths? Well, there's 2 ways we can do it. First way is we can change it to a decimal and say, what is 1 and 7 ninths? So 7 divided by 9 is the fraction part. So it's 1.7 repeating. So technically, we could say, what is the square root of this? The only problem with that, I'll just add 1 to it. If I press the square root on this, it's going to tell me 1.3 repeating. Okay, and that's the one way to do it. Do we know what that is as a fraction, just so we know? What's 1.3 repeating as a fraction? 1 1/3, that's right. So that's one way we could have done it. The second way we could have done it is said, well, 1 and 7 ninths is a mixed fraction, and that's the same thing as the square root of 16 ninths. Agreed? What fraction multiplied by itself is 16 ninths? Numerator would be 4, denominator would be 3. So therefore, the square root is 4/3, or, as a mixed fraction, 1 1/3. Our second question asks us to estimate and calculate. So my estimation will be 2 times 2, which is 4. And my calculation will be 4 times 3 is 24, carry a 2, 16, 18, 3 and 2, 4, 1, 4. 1 decimal place here, 1 decimal place here would be 2 decimal places, or using your estimation of 4, the only place I could put my decimal would be right there. So the answer is 4.14. Next question is calculate. So we have $1.20 divided into piles of nickels. How many nickels can you make? How many nickels to make a dime? 2. How many nickels to make a dollar? 20. How many nickels to make $1.20? Exactly 24. So your answer is 24. If you took your calculator, 1.2 divided into nickels, equals 24. Same answer. Next question is the negative 4.2 plus 1.8. Estimation is negative 4 plus 2, which would be negative 2. Calculation, what do I have more of? Negatives or positive? So I want to calculate the difference between my negatives and my positives. So I'm going to put my negatives here and my positives here. I'm going to find the difference. The difference is I have 2.4 more negatives. So therefore, my answer is negative 2.4. Next one's Pythagoras. You can do it with the formula, or you can do it with your squares. Area this is 16, area this is 100. Therefore, the area of the squares attached to the 2 legs, this one and this one, added together equal the area of this one. So this one has to be 84. And therefore, x is equal to the square root of 84, or is approximately equal to 9 point maybe 2, 9.1, something like that, because the square root of 81 is 9. Square root of 84 must be something like that. Let's just double check with the calculator. Square root of that is 9.16, which is pretty close to 9.2. Name a fraction between 1.2 and 1.3. Well, if we think about a decimal between 1.2 and 1.3, 1.25 would be right between there, wouldn't it? Because we can think of this as $1.20 and $1.30. So right between there would be 1.25, which is 1 and 25 hundredths, which is 1 1/4. So the greatest fraction that fits between there, the best answer, is 1 1/4. Next question is just a sum of 2. This says the opposite of 2 to the exponent of 4. So, Deacon, when we have the opposite of 2 to the power 4, will that be positive or negative? What will the answer be then as a standard form? Correctamundo. And Danny, you were in Korea for the last 6 weeks. What is negative 3 squared? Positive 9. Excellent. When we add those together, our sum is negative 7. Next question, right as a single power. Here we have, inside the brackets, we have 3 different powers that share the same base. If you multiply 2 powers at the same base, what do you do to the exponents, Mito? If you multiply 2 powers that have the same base, what do you do to the exponents? Add them. So this is going to be 2 to the power of 9 divided by 2 to the power of 3. And if you're dividing 2 powers that have the same base, Selena, dividing 2 powers that have the same base, and what do you do to the exponents in that case? Do you add them as well, or Mito? Do you agree with Mito? Subtract? Yeah. So we're going to have 2 to the exponent of 6 as a simplified power. Last question, when you have a power to an exponent outside of bracket, okay, Mito, what do? You multiply. So your standard form, or your exponential form, will be 2 to the 18. Does it say to simplify that power? No, that's your answer. What is 2 to the power of 18? Is it more than a million or less than a million? Let's see. Do you think it is? 2 to the exponent of 18? 262,144. 262. I think if you went, you'd have to go to the power of 20, I think, before you got that. Because I think 2 to the power of 19, if we look at 2 to the power of 19, it should be double that, right? It should be 512 or 524. And if we went 2 to the exponent of 20, we would have her over the million. Yeah. And our last question is our exponential growth, or our growth formula. There are 10 students in a class. Every 5 minutes they double. How many after an hour? Do you remember the formula? What is the formula? Well, if we put this down, SRT, what's the S stand for? Starting number. What's our starting number? 10. What's our R? What's that mean? So what are we going to use, Jack, for doubling? What number? 2 is correct. Now here's the question. Is that T going to be 1? No. What will that T be? Y. That's how many 5-minute increments are in an hour. So how many 5 minutes are in an hour? There's 12. So when we substitute it, we have that. 2 to the exponent of 12. 2 to the exponent of 12 is 4,096. 4,096. Do our bed mass first. So I need to grab a calculator to multiply it by 10. What do? Just add a 0. So in standard form, you have 40,960 students.